This presentation provides an introduction to theoretical machine learning. We will explore what theoretical machine learning is, how it connects to computational statistics, and dive into one of its foundational frameworks, PAC Learnability. Theoretical machine learning focuses on the mathematical and theoretical underpinnings of learning algorithms. It seeks to answer fundamental questions like what can be learned, how efficiently can it be learned, and what guarantees can we make about the learning process. The field provides frameworks to understand and predict the behavior of machine learning algorithms beyond empirical performance. Theoretical machine learning shares a deep relationship with computational statistics. Both fields are concerned with making inferences from data. However, while computational statistics traditionally focuses on estimation and hypothesis testing under probabilistic models, theoretical machine learning emphasizes the generalization ability and computational efficiency of learning algorithms, often under minimal assumptions about data. Let's now take a deeper look at some of the key pillars of theoretical machine learning. First, theoretical ML uses tools from fields like probability theory, optimization, linear algebra, and computational complexity. The goal is to create provable performance guarantees and to define the exact conditions under which algorithms succeed or fail. Second, we have PAC learning, which stands for probably approximately correct. This framework studies how likely it is that a learning algorithm will perform well on unseen data, helping us formalize learning success. Third, a critical concept is generalization. This is the ability of an algorithm to not just perform well on its training data, but to also succeed on new, unseen examples. Without generalization, a model would be useless beyond its original data set. Fourth, we encountered the bias-variance trade-off. This fundamental trade-off shapes how we balance model complexity and performance. A model that is too simple may be biased, missing important patterns, while a model that is too complex may have high variance, overfitting the data. Fifth, sample complexity refers to the number of examples needed for a learning algorithm to achieve a desired level of accuracy. It tells us how much data is enough, depending on how accurate we want the model to be. Finally, computational complexity addresses how efficiently an algorithm can learn, given the available computational resources. It's not just about whether learning is possible, but whether it can be achieved feasibly within reasonable time and resource constraints. Together, these 6 concepts form the backbone of theoretical machine learning, allowing us to rigorously analyze and predict how learning algorithms behave. Now, let's look at how theoretical machine learning is related to computational statistics. First, consider inference versus prediction. Computational statistics focuses heavily on inference, estimating parameters, understanding relationships between variables, and using significance tests and confidence intervals to draw conclusions. On the other hand, theoretical machine learning focuses more on prediction, achieving high predictive accuracy and ensuring algorithmic performance, often caring less about explaining the underlying mechanisms. Second, we have optimization. Optimization techniques are at the heart of both fields. In theoretical machine learning, optimization often involves convex and non-convex problems found in models like deep learning. Meanwhile, computational statistics relies on optimization for tasks like maximum likelihood estimation, Bayesian inference, and other parameter estimation methods. Finally, we examine sample complexity and uncertainty. Both fields study how the amount of data influences the reliability of conclusions. Theoretical ML uses learning theory to predict how much data is needed for effective learning. This is called sample complexity. In contrast, computational statistics assesses uncertainty through empirical techniques like confidence intervals and p-values. Overall, while the two fields have different goals, they overlap significantly in methodology and share a common reliance on data optimization and the study of uncertainty. Let's now focus on computational statistics. Computational statistics, sometimes called statistical computing, is centered around using algorithms and computational tools to solve statistical problems. This field often handles complex data analyses, especially when traditional analytic methods are difficult or even impossible to apply. One key distinction in computational statistics is between inference and prediction. In computational statistics, the emphasis is typically on inference, estimating parameters, explaining relationships between variables, and validating results through methods like significance testing and confidence intervals. By contrast, in theoretical machine learning, the focus shifts toward prediction. Here, the primary goal is achieving high predictive accuracy and strong algorithmic performance. Often, how the prediction is made is considered less important than ensuring that the results are consistently correct. This distinction between inference and prediction highlights a major philosophical difference between computational statistics and theoretical machine learning. Next, let's explore some key methods commonly reviewed in computational statistics. First, we have resampling methods. These include techniques like the bootstrap, which involves randomly resampling with replacement to estimate the sampling distribution of a statistic. Another method is the jackknife, where we systematically leave out one observation at a time to estimate bias and variance. And finally, permutation tests allow us to resample without replacement to test hypotheses, often used when comparing group means. Moving on to Bayesian methods. Here we focus on understanding the prior, posterior, and likelihood, which are the core components of Bayesian inference. We also use Bayesian hierarchical models, which are powerful tools for modeling data with multiple levels of variability, very useful when data has nested or grouped structures. Lastly, we have Bayesian model averaging, where instead of relying on a single model, we average across multiple models to better account for model uncertainty and improve predictive performance. Continuing with the methods reviewed in computational statistics, we now focus on three major areas. First, optimization techniques. This includes maximum likelihood estimation, or MLE, where we find the parameter values that maximize the likelihood of observing the given data. We also use gradient descent, an iterative method to optimize nonlinear objective functions, crucial in machine learning algorithms. And we apply regularization methods like lasso or ridge, which add penalty terms to help prevent overfitting by discouraging overly complex models. Next, we move into statistical learning theory. Here we explore the bias-variance trade-off, understanding how model complexity impacts a model's ability to generalize to new data. We also perform model selection, using criteria like AIC or BIS to choose the best performing model without overfitting or underfitting. Finally, we address computational complexity. In this area, we look at scalability, which examines how algorithms perform as the size of the data increases. We also use approximation algorithms to find near-optimal solutions efficiently, especially for problems that are too complex to solve exactly. In computational statistics, we encounter a variety of important methods. Resampling techniques such as the bootstrap, Monte Carlo simulations, Markov chain Monte Carlo MCMC methods, maximum likelihood estimation, Bayesian methods. These tools are essential for understanding uncertainty, optimizing models, and simulating data-driven scenarios, bridging the gap to theoretical learning frameworks. One of the central concepts in theoretical machine learning is PAC learnability, which stands for Probably Approximately Correct Learning. The PAC model formalizes what it means for a learning algorithm to succeed. It should, with high probability, find a hypothesis that is approximately correct, meaning it performs well not only on the training data, but also on unseen data. PAC learning is a theoretical framework introduced by Leslie Valiant in 1984. It is considered a cornerstone of computational learning theory, providing a formal method to analyze whether and how efficiently a machine learning algorithm can learn a concept or function from data. To make this more concrete, imagine you are trying to learn a rectangle in a two-dimensional space. You are given points plotted on a graph. Some points are labeled as positive examples, meaning they are inside the rectangle, and others as negative examples, meaning they fall outside it. The rectangle itself represents the concept you are trying to learn. The goal of the learning algorithm is to figure out the rectangle's boundaries, its top, bottom, left, and right sides, using only the provided points. Once learned, the algorithm should not only fit the current points, but should also be able to correctly classify new points it hasn't seen before. On the right side, the diagram shows this process. C is the true rectangle, the concept we are trying to learn. E is the rectangle that our hypothesis or model produces. The figure illustrates the idea that our learned rectangle H should be close to C to its high, even if it isn't perfect. Positive examples marked with a plus lie inside the true rectangle, while negative examples marked with a minus lie outside. This simple example illustrates key ideas behind PAC learning. Learning from limited samples, achieving high accuracy, and maintaining high confidence that the learned hypothesis is close to the truth. The first step is to gather training examples. You're provided with positive and negative points. For instance, 3-4 might be positive and 7-2 negative. However, you only receive a sample of all possible points, not the entire dataset. The challenge is to infer a general pattern from this limited information. Based on the sample, you form a hypothesis, a best guess, about the concept you're trying to learn. In our example, you might draw a rectangle that encloses all the positive points. Your goal is for this hypothesis not just to fit the training points, but also to generalize well to unseen data. Imagine you are a treasure hunter trying to map out a hidden treasure zone. This zone is shaped like a rectangle on a grid, but you can't see it. You have to figure it out from clues. You're told that a point at 3-4 is inside the treasure zone. This is a positive example. You're also told that a point at 7-2 is outside the zone. This is a negative example. As more clues are given, more positive and negative points, you need to use these examples to reconstruct the rectangle's location. Your goal is to learn the boundaries of the hidden rectangle as accurately as possible using just the given points. On the graph here, you can see positive examples are marked in green. Negative examples are marked with a red X. The true hidden rectangle, representing the real concept, is outlined in blue. This treasure hunt is a great analogy for what learning algorithms do. They use a limited number of samples to discover a hidden pattern, and they aim to do it accurately and reliably even when they haven't seen every possible point. You're given some positive and negative examples. For instance, a point at 3-4 is a positive example inside the hidden rectangle, and a point at 7-2 is a negative example outside the rectangle. But notice, you don't get to see every possible point. You only have access to a small sample of them. First, based on the given points, you form a hypothesis about where the rectangle is. You might draw a rectangle that tightly encloses all the positive points. You want this rectangle to be as accurate as possible in separating positive and negative points. Second, you focus on generalization. Your rectangle shouldn't just perfectly fit the training points. It should also generalize well to new unseen points, that is, classify new data correctly. Third, we care about accuracy and confidence. Accuracy measures how often your hypothesis classifies points correctly. For example, you might aim for 95% accuracy, meaning only a 5% error rate. Confidence measures how sure you are that your hypothesis is close to the true rectangle. You might want a 99% probability that your learned rectangle is a good approximation. On the graph to the right, you can see the result. Green dots are positive examples. Red X's are negative examples. The blue rectangle shows the target concept we're trying to learn. By combining a good hypothesis, strong generalization, high accuracy, and high confidence, generalization is key. Your learned rectangle must not only perform well on the training points, but also on new, unseen examples. Success in machine learning isn't just memorizing the training data, it's correctly predicting new data. Overfitting occurs when your model is too closely tailored to the training data, capturing noise instead of the true pattern. For example, drawing a highly irregular rectangle that perfectly encloses all points might work for your sample, but fail miserably on new data. On the other hand, underfitting happens when your model is too simple. A rectangle that only covers a portion of positive points misses the complexity of the true pattern. Good learning strikes a balance between overfitting and underfitting. PAC learning provides guidance on how many examples you need. If you want very high accuracy or confidence, you need a larger sample size. Conversely, if the task is simple, such as low-dimensional data with little noise, fewer examples may be sufficient. There are challenges in PAC learning, such as managing the trade-off between sample size, accuracy, and confidence, dealing with high-dimensional or noisy data, choosing appropriate hypothesis spaces to avoid overfitting or underfitting. These challenges highlight the practical complexities of theoretical learning models. The rectangle problem is considered PAC learnable because the hypothesis space, the number of different rectangles you can draw, is finite. Rectangles have simple, well-defined boundaries. Given enough examples, PAC theory guarantees that the learned rectangle will generalize well to new data with high probability. So why is the rectangle learning problem PAC learnable? There are three main reasons. First, we have a finite hypothesis space. There are only a limited number of ways you can draw rectangles based on a finite set of points. This makes it mathematically manageable to search through the possibilities and find a good rectangle. Second, the rectangle is a simple shape. Rectangles have clear, well-defined boundaries, straight edges, no curves, which makes it easier to learn the correct shape based on a reasonable number of training examples. Third, PAC learning guarantees generalization. As long as you gather enough training examples, PAC learning theory tells us that the learned rectangle will be close to the true rectangle with high probability. In other words, your model will not just memorize the examples, it will also perform well on new, unseen points. These three factors, limited possibilities, simple structure, and guaranteed generalization, make the rectangle problem a perfect example of a PAC learnable task. Let's now connect theoretical, machine learning, and PAC learnability more broadly. PAC learning introduces accuracy and confidence parameters, often noted as epsilon and delta. Accuracy, epsilon, measures how close the learned hypothesis should be to the true concept. Confidence, delta, represents the probability that the learning process succeeds. These parameters allow for flexible trade-offs depending on the application. PAC learnability also helps inform practical algorithm design. It shapes how we think about the structure and requirements of learning algorithms in real-world scenarios. In fact, many widely used techniques such as cross-validation, regularization, and boosting have deep theoretical roots in PAC learning. These methods aim to achieve good generalization by balancing model complexity and fitting the data. A key point is that PAC learning often evaluates algorithms based on empirical datasets, but it pushes us to think beyond a single dataset toward more generalizable solutions. Moreover, PAC learning connects to broader areas in machine learning, such as agnostic learning, where the true function might not even be in the hypothesis class, online learning, where data arrives one sample at a time and the model updates continuously, and statistical learning theory, which extends PAC ideas to many different kinds of data and tasks. Knowing that a problem is PAC learnable is crucial for organizations and researchers. It helps them plan data collection strategies and understand when adding more data will likely improve performance or when better algorithms are necessary. Finally, PAC learning ensures that models are provably robust across different possible data distributions. This provides a more reliable and consistent foundation than purely empirical methods that rely only on observed training performance. Theoretical machine learning, and particularly PAC learnability, gives us a structured way to reason about learning. It teaches us under what conditions learning is possible, how much data is needed, and how we can measure success rigorously through accuracy and confidence. This theoretical foundation strengthens the reliability and predictability of real-world machine learning systems.